Shalom, Israel, shalom, shalom. Brother Nakwam, watchman for Israel, coming back at you with these precepts and another cold cut, giving, of course, all honor and all glory to Yahweh by Shema Mashiach Malak Yahushai. Double honors to the elect elders of the house of David that's been in this truth for decades and decades, patiently waiting for the second coming of Mashiach Malak Yahushai. A hearty, mighty shalom to all of the men of the Lord who are out there, the mighty men of the Lord, Salakia, who are out there on the highways and byways, pushing this truth, magnifying the ministry, presenting their body as a living sacrifice, and enduring all things for the elect's sake. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the men that may not be out there on the highways and byways as of yet, but they're working on it. They're getting built up in the spirit. They're praying, they're fasting, they're studying, they're being diligent and abounding in the work of the Lord. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the Akwaf out there, the sincere sisters out there, holding it down in the household, to reverence their husbands, being submissive, being diligent, and moving in the spirit of our righteous foremothers. Shalom, shalom. And shalom to everybody tuning in live from Egypt to Israel. Yakar Salah, right? Shalom King, WFI Seattle. True Nation Philippines, shalom. Anthony Knox, Malak Ariel, shalom. And everybody else tuning in live and that will tune in, Lord willing. The topic of this cold cut is we're going into the milk. How to read the Bible, how to study the Bible, and how to learn the precepts, right? This is fundamental. This is Scriptures 101. As we come into this truth, a lot of brothers, they don't know how to read the Bible. And I'm doing this video because a brother messaged me on Instagram, and he says, yeah, I know this, I know that, but I don't know how to study the Bible. And that's the problem that a lot of brothers have. A lot of brothers think the way they study may not be profitable. A lot of brothers really don't know how to study. Some people in this truth, they just watch videos of different camps all day, whether it's a debate or a street teaching or a sit down, and they just, they may take notes. They may not know how to take notes. They open the Bible when they want to read. They're flipping through the book and trying to figure out, do I want to read this? Do I start at this? A lot of brothers, do I use my highlighter? I don't know what that's about. I heard about flashcards. I don't know what to do. Right? So there's a lot of questions that individuals have when it comes to this truth. And there's not a lot of lessons that go into actually, just studying, getting the milk of the word. Let's go to the book of 1 Peter, right? And I want to get in the spirit of getting these fundamental breakdowns out just so we can have a proper understanding. These are the things that are going to lead our people to salvation. Understanding how to handle the word of life. Right, let's go to 1 John chapter 1 real quick. Right, 1 John chapter 1. And I just want to read 1. We have to understand that we're dealing with the words of life. We have to understand this 1 John 1 and 1. That which was from the beginning, which we have heard, which we have seen with our eyes, which we have looked upon, and our hands have handled of the word of life. And that's what your Bible is. And I got a few Bibles. Right now, this is your classic word of life. This is your 1611 King James Version. Most brothers do have a 1611 KJV. Let me make sure this is showing. Let me pull this back. And I'll pull that back up. Right? Most brothers should have a 1611 KJV with the Apocrypha included. This is the word of life. If you don't have a 1611 KJV and you just have, you just have a regular, let's see which one I want to use. I'll grab this one. Right? You just have a regular Bible, King James Version, that's fine. Right? Genesis to Malachi, Matthew to Revelation. That's fine. But with your regular Bible, you also need your Apocrypha. Right? You also need your Apocrypha. So this is your Apocrypha. These are 14, technically really 15 books that have been taken out of the regular Bible, out of your regular King James Version Bible by the Protestant church, right? And that's a lesson we can get into for another day. Nevertheless, you need your Apocrypha and you need your Holy Bible, or you can have your 1611 KJV Bible, right? And this has, again, your Apocrypha included in it. Now, you can also get, this is my favorite Bible, my opinion, my favorite Bible, because every Bible is different. Not the words written, but how it's put out there. You got different publishing companies. You got Thomas, right? You got Holman. You have Zondervan. You know, you have Gideon. You have Hendrickson or Henderson. You have different publishing companies that make these Bibles, and certain Bibles are put together better than other Bibles. This Bible right here, this is a King James Version Hendrickson Bible. Me personally, am I a fan of the Hendrickson Bibles? No. The Hendrickson Bibles, they don't have too much going on. And when I say too much going on, as you read your Bible, you'll notice that certain Bibles have precepts in them, which you do have to verify. Certain Bibles have, you know, illustrations. Certain Bibles have maps in them. Certain Bibles have different timelines in it, chronology, just to aid and give you more knowledge as you read the Bible. So when you're dealing with certain Bibles, you want to make sure you get the Bible that works best for your spirit. Now, if you want the Hendrickson Bible, so like I keep pronouncing that wrong. If you want the Hendrickson Bible, by all means do so. You just want it straight, no precepts, you want to read and kind of just do what you got to do, that's fine. The 1611 Bible, regardless of the publishing company, usually it is Hendrickson, but they have precepts in this Bible. And they'll even have Greek and Hebrew annotations into it to show you where the English word was translated from, right? So you have to know how to handle the word of life. And I'm going to just give you a quick example. If you go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 11 and 20, right? If we go to Proverbs chapter 11 and 20, it reads, "He that walketh with wise men shall be wise, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed." Now, if you look at that verse, if you have a 1611, it actually has a Hebrew commentary on it. I'm not sure if you can see that. You see that says Heb, that's the Hebrew. It says shall be broken. So in the English, it says shall be destroyed, but they're showing you originally it was in the spirit of saying shall be broken. You know? So sometimes that helps to give you more understanding. It'll do that in the New Testament with the Greek. So the 1611, if you're going to get a Bible, make sure you get a 1611. Another thing, I'm just bringing this up before we actually get into it, because a lot of brothers, they don't know what to do. They have all these different types of Bibles. Do I get this one? Do I have this one? Do I get this one? They left one at the hotel. Do I grab the one at the hotel? So the Bible I like to personally use is, got it upstairs. I got it's a Zondervan. My chief favorite Bible, the brother said Thomas Nelson. Thomas Nelson isn't bad either. If you want a Thomas Nelson Bible, get a Thomas Nelson Bible. That's not bad. Zondervan is my favorite Bible publishing company. I like Zondervan. At the red letter, the precepts. It's very detailed, various maps in it. My personal favorite Bible is the Zondervan KJV Study Bible. Right? The Zondervan King James Version Study Bible. This is my personal favorite, and it's Zondervan right there. I really only deal with Zondervan. A lot of brothers, I know brothers in the camp, they deal with Thomas Nelson, you know, they deal with Hendrickson, they deal with all types of things, but I prefer this Bible, and I'm gonna show you why. Right? So Zondervan also produces, for brothers know, the Compact Bible Dictionary. That's also made by Zondervan, right? So if you're a fan of of the Compact Dictionary, then you'll be a fan of the Zondervan Bible. Now, the Zondervan Bible, just want to bring this up before we get into the precepts, and this is why I recommend this Bible for brothers. This is for brothers that are more so kind of, you want to learn more, you want to kind of get built up. They have chronology, so you have timelines in it. Mine's a little messed up, right? It's worn down, but that's okay. So you have timelines in here. So like I'm trying to make this even for you. All right. So they have timelines. So timelines are good to let you know when events are taking place. So if you want to know what timeline or what time period did Abraham live, then you can go in there and do the research, and they'll show it. Around 2100, 2150 BC, right? 2150 BC or so. If you want to know the time that Abraham went to the land of Canaan, that's around 2090 BC. And you want to know the time of the Exodus, that's around 1445 BC or so. So you want to get, it helps you get acclimated with dates, acclimated with timelines. So you're not just reading the Bible and you're outside of reality when you read, man, and you forget that these are real life events. I'm gonna get this quick precept, right? Let me get this precept real quick. Let's go to the book of Ecclesiastes. I'm gonna pull this up on the screen. All right, let's go to the book of Ecclesiastes. We got a lot I want to get into, and I hope I got enough time, because I don't want to leave no stone unturned when it comes to this truth. Let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 5, and I want to go to verse 15. Right? Let's go to Ecclesiastes. Let me make sure this is showing. All right, this is Ecclesiastes chapter 5 and 15. Be not ignorant of anything in a great matter or a small. You see that? The Most High said, be not ignorant. Meaning what? Everything matters in the truth. You don't want to be in this truth and just be content with the bare minimum. As you read the Bible and as you acquire your Bible, you'll read about things that you may not be familiar with, words that you may not be familiar with, sayings that you may not be familiar with, places and dates and people. Do not just read past these things and chalk it up to it doesn't matter. You must. It's imperative that you push yourself to learn this word as best as you can. Now, are certain things required more than others? Yes. The law, statutes, and the commandments and faith, that's the elementary things that is truth, the principal things. But when it comes to a place, I always encourage brothers, if you're reading where is Gath or Ashkelon, look it up. Having a Zondervan or a Bible with maps in it, they usually have maps in the back of Bibles, most of them. Look up where these places are. Look up where the timeline is. If you're reading the book of Esther, you have to know when that event took place. Under what captivity. So as you read your Bible, again, you'll read words, places. Look up where these places are. See where these events are taking place. You read about Abraham's journeys, Isaac's journeys, Jacob's journeys. Look that up. Go online and type in Abraham's journeys. You may have it in your Bible and trace and see where he came from. Ur the Chaldees to Haran up north, down southwest into the land of Canaan, went into Egypt, came back. So you want to kind of get into this thing. So let's go back. I want to exit out the screen and go back to where I was. All right. So you want to have your chronology going on. Also, I like this Bible for brothers that's just tuning in because of a particular maps. You have a particular amount of maps in here. Let me pull that up. This Bible has more maps than most. It has maps about the world of the patriarchs. So essentially, it's an atlas. Certain Bibles, they just have maps of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel and their allotted lands. If you get this Bible right here, this Bible has maps of the time of the world of the patriarchs. You can see the time that Abraham lived, Isaac and Jacob, where they lived, how they moved on the earth. It also has the Holy Land, Mount Sinai, the conquest of Canaan, the 12 tribes, the kingdom of David and Solomon, the kingdom of Israel and Judah, the Assyrian Empire, the Babylonian Empire, where each prophet was and where they did their work. The apostles, how they traveled. Yahushua, where he traveled and where each miracle was done. And there's certain commentary in here, and you got to kind of take that with discernment, but there's certain commentary in here that actually goes deep into the history. So again, if you want to get a Bible, you have various options. Chiefly, I prefer a Zondervan Bible. I have a Zondervan Pocket Bible, and I have a Zondervan King James Version Study Bible. With that being said, how do you read the Bible? How do you study the Bible? You know, you see brothers talking about the precepts. Got to keep the precepts. What precept is that? You'll hear that when you come into the truth. Remember, it's videos for brothers that just come into this truth. Or if you've been in this thing, it's a refresher, right? It's a refresher. It's something that you may have to pick up, because I'm also going into how to study. A lot of brothers don't know how to study. So I want to go into how to read the Bible and study the Bible and how to learn the precepts as well. I just wanted to get that quick breakdown on various Bibles that you can get. What makes them different, and again, which ones do I prefer? Now, I'm gonna use as we go into this, I'm gonna use the Zondervan Bible to actually show you. So when you get your Bible, a lot of brothers, they come into the truth rather through a family member. Maybe you watch the video. A lot of brothers, like I came into the truth, I stumbled across a video. Well, I was actually told the truth initially, right? But I also stumbled across a video, and then that's when I really kind of started getting into it. So a lot of times you'll come into this truth, and you'll see a video, and some people just watch videos. Can you just watch videos all day, right? Is that enough? No, it's not enough. You got to start opening up this word, man, and start getting into it. Did not the Most High say in Revelation? Let's go to Revelation chapter 1 and 3, right? Let's go to Revelation chapter 1 and 3. Did not the Most High say, blessed is he that readeth? So you have to read your Bible. Actually, I'm going to pull it up on the screen. I'm going to pull this up so we can actually kind of see this thing together. So we're handling the word of life. The apostles physically handled Yahushua, but we have Yahushua manifest through this word right here, right through the Comforter. Let me get this in Revelation chapter 1. Right, let's go to Revelation chapter 1 and 3. Blessed is he that readeth, and they that hear the words of this prophecy, and keep those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand. So a lot of people say they're blessed. You hear older people say that, or young people, I feel blessed. You know, I'm successful. I'm an entrepreneur. I have my own company. You know, we brought in $10 million last year. I'm blessed. Well, you're blessed if you're reading the Bible. Let me put a quick note out there. Stay away from other books. When I say other books, I'm speaking about other books that do not line up with the Bible. For example, the book of Enoch. Stay away from it. The book of Jasher. Stay away from it. The book of Jubilees. Stay away from it. Pseudepigrapha. The pseudepigrapha. Books like the Testament of Adam and Eve, the Assumption of Mary, the Apocalypse of Abraham, 3rd Baruch, 4th Baruch, 3rd Maccabees, 4th Maccabees, and various other books, the Testament of Judah. Stay away from those books. Stick strictly to your KJV Bible. You know? So the Lord said, blessed is he that readeth, and they that hear the words of this prophecy, and keep those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand. So the time is at hand. The time is speaking about the time of judgment, the time of the Most High manifesting himself to the world. Right? Let's go to the book of 2nd Ezra. Through his judgments, through natural disasters, through war, through famine, through pestilence, this is the time that's at hand. So if you're not reading and keeping these things, meaning sticking them in your mind and performing them, you're going to be caught out there, and you're going to have to deal with it. You have this grace opportunity. You've been woken up to the truth, and you're just sitting around not reading, man, not studying. You're watching TV all day. You're on social media 9 times out of 10. You have a very predictable downtime schedule, man. Either you're watching TV, you're on social media, you're playing a video game, you're doing God knows what, man. You're supposed to dedicate time to reading and studying daily. 2nd Ezra chapter 6 and verse 20. And when the world that shall begin to vanish away shall be finished, then will I show these tokens. The books shall be opened before the firmament, and they shall see all together. And this world is beginning to vanish away. You see the economies collapsing. You see societies falling apart. You You see corporations aren't as strong as they used to be. You see the homelessness rate increasing, violence and sedition prevalent. So the world is vanishing away. And the Most High is showing these tokens. Tokens are signs, judgments, different things that you observe to let you know that judgment is coming soon. The Most High said the book shall be open, right? Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, right? Judges, Ruth, 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel, etc. The books are being opened before the firmament, and they shall see all together. So the Most High is manifesting the understanding of his word in the last days. And it's only for limited time. Like any deal, right? They do limited time only at grocery stores, at retail stores, at restaurants. There's always a limited time only. We have limited time only. Everything's 50% off for the so-called holiday season. That's what Esau said. From the month of December to the end of January, everything's 50% off. Now, what happens if you get there in February? Can you get that same deal? You go there February 1st and say, hey, look, I want to get this, and I need a 50% off. They're going to say, no, I'm sorry, that deal is over. And you can say, well, look, I want to talk to the manager. Can I get your supervisor? Your supervisor come out with that headset on and, hey, look, I'm sorry, we have to tell you that deal was a limited time only. You got to buy that at full price, right? And we're not doing that deal again. That was a one-time deal. Now, either you can buy that at full price or you can kind of put your head down and walk away. But the point is you got to deal with it. You didn't take advantage of the opportunity that was presented to you. And that's how it is with this word. The Most High is giving you the understanding of the word, and you're just doing anything under the sun. Let's go to the book of Revelation, chapter 3. So the Most High said, blessed is he that readeth. And we're going to show you how to get into this word and the benefits of reading. Revelation chapter 3 and 20. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him and he with me. So this is Yahweh Shai saying he's standing at the door. The door is speaking about your mind. Remember, your body's a temple. And inside your temple dwelleth the Spirit of God. To enter into your temple, you must access and go through the mind and through the spirit. Right? So Yahweh Shai, the Holy Spirit, is ready to come into you. And it's being manifest through the prophets, through the teachers, through the apostles, through the evangelists, through the pastors, through the ministers. And you have to allow the word to come into you. And even when you're reading sometimes, let me put this out there. Sometimes you're reading and the Spirit will show you something that a brother may not show you. There's been plenty of times that many brothers could testify. You've been reading, you're like, yeah, that precept link up with this. Oh, wow, I didn't see that like that. Oh, wow, that makes sense. Because ultimately, Yahweh Shai, he's the master teacher. Yes, a man can teach you things, and a man should teach you things. But nevertheless, there are things that the Spirit will show you, man, when you're on your own, man. And that's the Yahweh Shai supping with you. The word sup means to feed, right? Or to dine. Let me get that word sup. So this is how you gain understanding in the Bible. You gain understanding by getting built up through reading. That's your primary source of food. Okay, to sup, meaning to dine, to take the principal evening meal, right? That's what it means, to dine. You want to dine with the Lord, man. Meaning the Lord will come and feed you with wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. So that's why you read. You read to gain understanding. You read to learn the laws. You read to learn the statutes, the commandments, the judgments, the prophecies, the parables, the proverbs, instructions, subtlety, how to love your brother. All of these things, your heritage, how we fell as a people. These things are documented in the scriptures, man. And you have to read. Let's go to the book of Deuteronomy chapter 17. Right? And a lot of people always ask, well, where do I start? That's always the first question. Where do I start? Do I start in the beginning, or I heard about this precept upon precept thing? Do I just start here? Do I read here? Do I have a verse of the day? How many chapters should I read a day? We're going to cover that, man. Right? Deuteronomy chapter 17 and verse 18. That is speaking about a king. And it shall be when he sitteth upon the throne of his kingdom, that he shall write him a copy of this law in a book, out of that which is before the priests and Levites. So when the king of Israel was sitting on the throne, he was charged by the Most High to copy out everything that was written in the law, right? Literally everything that was documented in the law. And that was for him. That's called studying, right? This is one of the first major accounts of studying. So this man is given a copy or writing out the law, a breakdown. Because when you write something out, after you read it, it helps you understand it more. And that's with anything. That's why it's called taking notes. Because you will hear the precept, but then once you write it down, you're increasing the chance of you understanding that verse and what it means. Right? So that's why the king would do that. And this shall be with him, and he shall what? And he shall read. He shall read therein all the days of his life, that he may learn to fear the Lord, his God, to keep all the words of this law and these statutes, to do them. So why does he read? To fear the Lord, to keep the law, the statutes, and do them. So these are the purposes on why you read. To hear the law, hear how to serve the Most High, what the Most High requires of you, how to bow down to the Lord, man, and to fear him. These things ought to be done. And a king was commanded to do these things. Right? So you have to read, right? So like, give me 1 second. Right? You have to read. And let me close this screen out real quick and show you. Let's go into this real quick. Right? So brothers, once you have your Bible, where do you start? I always recommend, like I said, another brother may say this, whatever the case may be, but you start from the beginning. You start from the beginning. It doesn't make any sense to watch a movie, not that the Bible is a movie, but to just hop in the middle of something. You can't just hop into 2 Kings. 2 Kings is a continuation of 1 Kings, which is a continuation of 2 Samuel, which is a continuation of 1 Samuel, right? Which is a continuation of Ruth, which goes back to Judges, Joshua. So you can't just start in the middle. You can't just hop in the book of Acts. You don't even know what's going on. Okay, I'm in the book of Acts. Brother, no, you got to read the Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John before that, right? You can't just hop in the book of Revelation. A lot of people, they've heard about the book of Revelation. Rather, you saw some documentary on the History Channel, or your pastor kind of said, oh, don't read that. Stay away from that. You came into the truth and said, I finally want to read Revelation. Stay away from these things, man. You have to learn the fundamentals of this truth, which ultimately goes back to the law. Now, the whole Bible is the law on a deeper level, but the law is an amalgamation of the first 5 books: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. In the Greek, it's the Pentateuch. And the Torah, it's like in the Hebrew, it's a Tawarat, which means instruction or law, which you may know as the Torah. You want to start off in the Torah. You want to start off in the law, because now, as you read, and for brothers that season in this thing, if you don't know the law, you'll never understand the New Testament. I'm going to just tell you straight up and down. You're going to be like these pastors of the world who have no understanding, like these deacons and bishops of the world who have no understanding. These priests, child molesters, creeps, church robbers, fat cat pastors like Creflo Dollar, T.D. Jakes. Hey, Creflo Dollar say you don't even have to keep the 10 commandments. Some pastors say don't read that. You can actually buy Bibles that exclude the Old Testament. So it'll be just the New Testament. They might add Psalms and Proverbs in there. Right? I've seen Bibles that just had the book of John. I've seen Bibles that had Psalms and Proverbs. I've seen Bibles that just Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. You know? So the point of the matter is what? You want to start from the beginning. You want to start from the beginning. Let's get this precept before we get into it. You want to start from the beginning. Let's go to the book of Psalms, right? Chapter 1. Actually, let's go to the book of Joshua. Right? Let's go to Joshua, the first chapter. You want to start from the beginning. And that's with anything, right? Joshua 1:8. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make the way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. You see that? So you need the book of the law. You have to keep it in your mouth, meaning speak about the law. You have to think about it. That's what it means, meditate. You have to observe it, look at it, pay attention to it, and perform what's written. And that's how you become prosperous in this truth. That's how you grow and get built up. And that's how you have good success. Right? Let's go to the book of 2 Kings, chapter 22. Right? 2 Kings, chapter 22. Let's go to 2 Kings, chapter 22, and verse. Salakia. 8. The lost book. Look at that. The lost book. 2 Kings chapter 22 and 8. And Hilkiah, the high priest, said unto Shaphan the scribe, I have found the book of the law in the house of the Most High. And Hilkiah gave the book to Shaphan, and he read it. And remember, the so-called white man has went through great lengths to hide this Bible from you. He has whitewashed the images of the people of the Bible. He has given it to you through religion, a lie. He has given it to you through politics, through the industry, through Hollywood, through movies, through the Renaissance, through artwork, right? Through sorcery, and has completely taken his Bible away from you. He has given you the slave Bible, which excludes particular books, chapters, and verses out the Bible. So now, hey, when I'm in this thing, I'm thinking, damn, I got to get this, man. This is our book. I remember when I first got my Bible, man. I was in so-called college, man, and my sister, who's in the truth, she actually, I got another sister in the truth, right? But one of them actually, and then this before she really started getting into it, but she actually ordered me a Bible. She ordered me a 1611 Bible, man. You know, and I'm sitting up there waiting. I'm going to the damn mail room he had on campus. I'm checking every day to get the Bible. And when I first had my Bible, man, I was geeked. I was excited. I opened up the package. I kind of held on to it. I kept looking at it. And we still do to this day, man. Because this has everything that you need. I tell you what, if you don't read, you're not going to know how to judge particular matters. You're not going to know how to serve the Most High. You're not going to know what pleases the Lord, what displeases the Lord. You're not going to know how to deal with your brother. You're not going to know different accounts. You're just going to be caught out there. So this man found the book of the law, and they read it. And Shaphan, the scribe, came to the king and brought the king word again and said, thy servants have gathered the money that was found in the house, and have delivered it into the hand of them that do the work, that they that have the oversight of the house of the Lord. So they were repairing the house of the Lord, right? During the time of Josiah, the king. And Shaphan, the scribe, showed the king, saying, Hilkiah, the priest, hath delivered me a book. And the Most High delivered you a book, man. And Shaphan read it before the king. So when a book is delivered to you, you have to read it. And it came to pass, when the king had heard the words of the book of the law, that he rent his clothes, because he found out that they went off, man. So when you read the book of the law, you'll get different emotions. Some things you'll read, you'll be upset, like, damn, man. Like when you read the book of Numbers, I always say, when I read the book of Numbers, man, I get vexed, because that's one of the highest accounts of just rebellion as a nation, of us in the wilderness. All of the murmuring and enticing and temptations and scoffing, just straight out rebellion. So certain books and chapters and accounts, you read like, damn, man, this is awful. History of Susanna, like, damn, she had to deal with that. Damn, you had to, like, certain things you get upset about. Certain things stir up your spirit. Like you read the book of Maccabees, you get stirred up. You read certain accounts of Yahushua, you get stirred up. You know, so you acquire various emotions and spirits in righteousness as you read the Bible. Now, let me show this real quick. Now, this is, again, once you start reading, you want to start from the beginning. Now, again, there's 1,000+ videos twice told on YouTube about videos. Brothers do videos on current events, on history, prophecy. You have various camps that cover different topics. So, of course, we find ourselves, when you come in this thing, watching videos. Quick note before I go into this, whatever precept is being brought out in the video, you should be following along for your own salvation, for your sake, because anything can be going down. A brother could be in any spirit. You want to make sure that this thing is true, and you got to put it to the test. Let's go to the book of Acts 17 and 11, right? Acts chapter 17 and verse 11. And a lot of brothers, you know, they have a hard time trying to find where's the book of Acts? Okay, how do I find Obadiah? I can never find Philemon. I know brothers that can never find Philemon to this day, right? Where's the book of so-and-so? Don't worry about that. The more you read, I'm going to tell you, the more you read, the easier it will become to find these books in the Bible. I'm going to say that again. The more you read, the easier it will become to find the books in the Bible. So as you watch these videos from brothers that are teaching, and as you read on your own, follow along. So if a brother says, we're going to go to the book of, Obadiah 1 and 18, you should have your Bible open, go into the book of Obadiah, pause the video, flip to the book of Obadiah, and find verse 18, press play, and then hear the precept and read it and say, okay, yeah, that's what that says. So you want to prove these things, you know, even on your own. The more you read, the more acclimated you get with the order of the books. I know in the beginning, you'll find yourself using the table of contents a lot, right? You say, okay, because we don't know what's going on as we come out of the world. We're not taught to read the Bible. So you'll find yourself in the table of contents in the beginning, but you want to kind of wean yourself off of that spirit. You don't want to be 6 years in this thing. I'm going to tell you, you don't want to be 6 months in this thing and still using the table of contents. I know some people that we learn on different paces, right? Some brothers are a little bit faster than others, but no way in hell you should be in this thing more than a year and still using the table of contents to try to find the books of the Bible. So you want to kind of get acclimated and built up in this thing, right? Now, it does take time. We're not saying it's an overnight thing. It takes time. But the more you read, the more you study, the more you kind of pause the video, follow along, and read it, the more you'll find out where Acts is, where Jude is, Obadiah. Certain books are indeed harder to find than others because of how small they are. Obadiah, books like Habakkuk may be hard to find for brothers. Philemon, you know, certain books, as you kind of see, like it's kind of tough to find. But then you kind of get out that spirit and it becomes easier to you, you know? So let's go to the book of Acts, chapter 17 and 11, right? Let's go to books. Brothers still probably to this day may have a hard time finding editions of Esther, finding the Song of the Three Holy Children in the Apocrypha. And that's why you have to read and study, right? And then you should get to the point where you kind of know you can name the books of the Bible in order. You can challenge yourself to kind of get to that level. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, and you just keep going and going and going. And kind of quiz yourself so you can kind of know it too. You know? Because you don't want to take 30 minutes as you watch the video trying to figure out what a book is. So I always encourage brothers to kind of get acclimated of where these books are in the Bible, that you may find them with ease, you know, and not hinder yourself. Right? Acts 17 and 11. Let's read that. Acts chapter 17 and 11. And every brother should be there. Because I could read, which I'm not going to do. I could be reading the wrong verse. I can go to Acts 17 and 11, and I could read, and they that conducted Paul brought him into Athens. And you're like, hold on. And you're writing that down. But that's not Acts 17 and 11. That's Acts 17 and 15. I'm just a man. All these brothers that teach are just men, and they could mess up. They could be distracted. A spirit could hop on them. So you got to go there and see if what they're reading is in there. Because if I go to Acts 17 and 11 and I start reading verse 12 or verse 15, or I'm in Acts 18 and 11, and you're just writing it down and taking it in, then you're off. Because you have to work out your own salvation. And you should be honorable and try to find out what this thing really is. You should not trust in man, because you got to get this thing on your own. You know? But I'm going to read Acts 17 and 11. Acts chapter 17 and 11. These, I'm going to actually start at verse 10. Is Paul traveling with the apostles to different parts in Greece, right? Acts 17 and 10. And the brethren immediately sent away Paul and Silas by night unto Berea, who coming thither went into the synagogue of the Jews. Now, brothers should look up where Berea is. If you don't know where Berea is, look it up. Okay, you're reading, okay, they went to Berea. That's not an imaginary place. That's not Funland. That's not Planet Risk or Planet Gethron. That's an actual place. If you don't know where Berea is, take the time. You can write it down. So I'm going to look that up and figure out where that is and figure out where these men are, man. So when you're reading, you're also pushing yourself to be more knowledgeable, right? So let me read on. And the brethren, this Acts 17 and 10, immediately sent away Paul and Silas by night unto Berea, who coming thither went into the synagogue of the Jews. These were more noble than those in Thessalonica, and that they received the word with all readiness of mind, and searched the scriptures daily, whether those things were so. Let me pull that up on the screen, because that's a heavy verse right there. Let's actually pull that one up. Right? Let's not play any games, because this is paramount. Right? Salakia. The hell? Okay, Salakia. This Acts 17 and 11. It reads, these were more noble than those in Thessalonica. So there's two churches, right? Let's actually pull this up. church of Berea on a map. You had a church of Berea and you had a church of Thessalonica in southern Greece. Let's see if I can pull this up. Here's a map. And you want to get a little acquainted with geography, right? So, and they're right next to each other. Here's Berea. Here's the church of Thessalonica, 2 churches in Macedonia. You read about the church of the Philippians. You read about the church of the Ephesians, Ephesus down here. You read about the church of Corinth right here. Salakia. So the church in Berea, Paul said they were more noble than the church of Thessalonica. Every church had different spirits. What made the church of Berea more noble than those in Thessalonica? Well, it tells you these were more noble than those in Thessalonica, and that they received the word with all readiness of mind, meaning they were dialed in, they paid attention. When the word was being taught to them, they focused. They didn't have distractions. They weren't listening to music and on their damn phone scrolling and watching ESPN and listening to the video. They received the word with all readiness of mind. And not only that, they searched the scriptures daily, whether those things were so. So whatever Paul taught them, they had their Bible right along and was following along and said, okay, yeah, all right, Paul, I see what you're saying. All right, that makes sense. They didn't just hear Paul and say, oh, well, okay, it's Paul, I hear what he's saying. They said, no, let me see that. Is that true? All right, that's true. I see what you're saying now. Paul went to this precept. They hold on, Paul. Hold on. Let me get there. You're going to the book of Psalms. Hold on, Paul. Okay. All right. Keep going. So Paul kind of liked that. I mean, so all right. I like how these brothers, every time I go to a verse, they go to a verse. And they do it every day. And they're proving to see if what I'm bringing out to them is right. So that's why it's important to follow along. Paul called that a noble thing. Hey, the Most High called that a noble thing. Therefore, many of them believed. Also of honorable women, which were Greeks, and of men, not a few. You see that? You see that right there? So these men were honorable because they received the word. That's why we say when we going through these precepts, we encourage brothers to actually follow along, right? To actually follow along and go through the precepts. Now you start from the beginning, right? Salakia. Let's go to the book of Genesis. All right, let's go to Genesis 1. We're not going to read the entire book of Genesis. Just want to show you, right? Let's go to Genesis. So you want to start when you read from the beginning. You want to start from the beginning, Genesis 1, and just read the history. It starts with the creation, then it goes into the Garden of Eden, then it goes to Cain and Abel, in Genesis 4, and the sons of God, in Genesis 5. In Genesis 6, it deals with the flood. Genesis 7 is the flood. Genesis 8 is the flood. Genesis 9 is the flood and post-flood. Right? In the Exodus of the Ark. Genesis 10, Table of Nations. Genesis 11, genealogy of the sons of God. Genesis 12, the calling to Abraham. Genesis 13, the separation of Abraham and Lot. Genesis 14, Abraham rescuing Lot, dealing with Melchizedek, the king of Sodom. Genesis 15, etc. You want to get acclimated with these books in the Bible. You know, and we here at WFI, we charge brothers, man, to study. We even, have certain games that we play in righteousness to keep brothers sharp. We'll ask brother, what's going on? We call it the gauntlet. What's going on in the book of Genesis chapter 15? It'll be about 15 of us in a circle, and the brother got to answer. Whoever get it first, hey, they got it. Okay, Genesis 15, that's going into so-and-so. And whoever, they got to get in there. Okay, what's going on in the book of Acts, the 22nd chapter? And that shows who's reading. It charges brothers to study. What's going on in the book of Jeremiah, the 35th chapter? You got to kind of think, damn, what Jeremiah 35? I got to read Jeremiah. So you want to kind of know what's going on in this thing. And that's just one part of the Swiss Army knife of the gauntlet. So you start from the beginning. Then you read the book of Exodus. Then you read Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Now, with that being said, there's something called a precept. There's something called, Salakia, bear with me. There's something called a precept. Now, a precept is a what? A precept essentially is a commandment, right? It's a two. We're going to give you both definitions. A precept, Salakia, is a commandment. Let's go to the book of Hebrews, right? So you'll hear that precept upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line. You hear brothers say BCV, or book, chapter, verse. What is a precept? What does it have to do with the Bible? Okay, now I know why I should read. I know how to read, but for the most part. But now I'm reading these precepts. So what is a precept? Let's go to Hebrews chapter 9 and 19. Okay, this shows you a precept, right? For when Moses, and brothers should have Hebrews 9 and 19 open, right? They should have this thing open, right? It reads, for when Moses had spoken every precept to all the people according to the law, he took the blood. It's like he took the blood of calves and of goats with water and scarlet wool and hyssop, and sprinkled the book and all the people. So the precepts that he gave them was the instructions, right? So a precept is an instruction or really a command, right? Let's see, precept. I'm gonna go into it in the Greek, and I want to go into it as well. See that? An order, a command, a charge. That's essentially what a precept is. Now, when you look up it can also be a particular verse, because every verse is part of the instruction of the Most High God. So when we say what precept is that, we're saying essentially what verse is that. Where in the Bible can I find that part of instruction? Every verse in the Bible is a piece of the instruction of the Most High God. Rather it's Revelation 1 and 3, or Deuteronomy 28 and 15, or Exodus 17 and 15. Those are all precepts because they are part of the instruction of the Most High God. Right? Now, when you go, that's why 2 Timothy, let me get this real quick. Let's get 2 Timothy, the 3rd chapter. Then I'm going to go to the book of Tobit, the 6th chapter. Okay, 2 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 15. And that from a child thou hast known the holy scriptures, which are able to make thee wise unto salvation through faith which is in Hamashiach Yahushua. All scripture is given by inspiration of the Most High, and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness. So all the scriptures, now the scripture in its proper context is speaking about the Old Testament. Because remember, Timothy and Paul, they didn't have the book of Timothy. Paul was not teaching out of 2 Timothy. He wasn't teaching out of the book of Jude and Revelation. Right? He wasn't walking around with the book of John. They had the scriptures. They had Genesis through Malachi. Right? Now, all scripture is really used for instruction. That's why any verse can be a particular precept. Because every verse is used to instruct you. An instruction is guidance, a direction to order someone to walk in the right way. That's what a precept is. Now, I want to go into the etymology of that word. Right? Let's pull this up. See if they actually have this. Put this. Slakia. Precept. See that? Commandment or direction given as a rule of action. If you want to know how to get to damn Funland, a brother might give you, he might say, look, you want to take this road down, you want to kind of take it right at the light, Okay, once you take a right at the light, you're going to look to your left. It's going to be a so-and-so. You kind of get there and you do a U-turn. That's direction, right? Especially as injunction, right? Injunction as to moral conduct. What is injunction, right? Let's put that definition up because we want to understand what is an actual precept. An injunction, an authoritative warning or order. A judicial order that restrains a person from beginning or continuing an action threatening invading the legal right or order, or that compels a person to carry out an act. And that's what every verse in the Bible is. Every verse in the Bible essentially compels you to serve the Most High, right? Rather somebody's warning you in the law, or you're reading an account about what a person may have done, or you're seeing the greatness that a man may have done, and you are now compelled to follow what that man did. A man may have walked down the road of wickedness, like Balaam in Numbers, the 22nd chapter. As you read those precepts, you're reading components of instruction, and when you put it together, you know not to be like this man. From Numbers chapter 22, 1 all the way down, you're finding out, look, when you follow covetousness and pride, this is what that man, this is the lot and the judgment that you get when you read those precepts, right? Let me say this too. Every precept doesn't have to say, thou shalt do this or thou shalt not do that. Any verse in the Bible is essentially a precept when you have the spiritual understanding behind it, right? Because it's all instruction. That's why I told you in Romans, let's go to Romans chapter 15 and 4, right? Romans chapter 15 and verse 4. It reads, whatsoever things were written aforetime, were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. So in order to be learned, you have to be taught. So everything that was written aforetime, meaning in the old time, it was written that you may learn. And Paul and these brothers, they didn't just have Genesis through Deuteronomy. They had the book of Joshua. You know, they had Judges. They had Ruth. They had 1 Samuel. They had 2 Samuel. They had these different books. They had these different accounts. And all of that was for their learning. They were all precepts. That's why, let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 14. Sometimes in the Bible, you'll see that the law or the instruction is applied to books outside of the first 5 books of the Bible. I'm going to say that again. Certain verses in the Bible are being called the law, even though they are outside of the first 5 books of the Bible. Key example, 1 Corinthians chapter 14 and 21. And the law, it is written, with men of other tongues and other lips will I speak unto this people. And yet for all that, they will not hear me, said the Lord. So Paul said, in the law it is written. You would think that that's speaking about the first 5 books of the Bible. So lucky. But he's quoting Isaiah. Isaiah is the prophet. Isaiah 28 and 10 on down. Right? Now, that means that Isaiah can be called part of the law. So anything in Isaiah is instruction by default. Anything in Isaiah is also a precept. Let's go to the book of Psalms. John chapter 10. Just to show you that, right? Go to John chapter 10 and 34. Yahweh shall answer them. Is it not written in your law? I said, ye are gods. Right? And that's in Psalms. Actually, that's in Psalms. Psalms chapter 82 and 6. So the law can be the first 5 books of the Bible, or the law can be the Psalms, or the law can be the prophets, or the entire Old Testament can be known as the law. So anything within that are precepts. Anything in the New Testament, those are precepts, right? Same thing, same spirit. Now, what does it mean Because you have brothers saying, well, you can't read the Bible like a novel. What does that mean? You can't read the Bible like a novel. Now, if you want to keep things in its proper context, you should read the Bible in order. How would you understand the book of Judges if you only read one verse here, then you hop into Revelation, then you hop into Isaiah, then you hop into Matthew, and then you go back to that second verse in Judges 1 and 2, then you leave that verse, then you go to the book of Genesis, then you go back to, you can't do that. You have to keep it in its context. You can't break up an account or a story. Sometimes you do have to read it straight through to get the context. Keep things in its proper context. So yes, read the Bible straight through. That's how you get the understanding or the context of what you're reading. Now, also, you can read precept upon precept. Let's get that, Isaiah chapter 28 and 9. Isaiah chapter 28 and 9. Whom shall he teach knowledge? And whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast. So who is the Most High going to teach this word to? That's what it means. Whom shall he teach knowledge? Who is he going to make to understand his teaching? Well, the answer is what? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast, meaning those that are born again, who have cast aside the works of darkness and are newly coming into this truth. For a precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, precept upon precept. Slakia. For precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little. So if you want to understand the Bible, first and foremost, you must read the law, receive the instruction. Now, the Most High said precept upon precept, precept upon precept. So you have one verse in the Bible that links up with another verse in the Bible. Then that verse in the Bible may link up with another verse in the Bible. And I'm going to give you an example. Line up, and then you have to also keep things line upon line, which means you have to keep things in its proper context. You can't take a verse out of context. You have to keep it within its proper account. Also, you have to get here a little and there a little. So let's get an example of this. Let's get an example of precept upon precept. Let's see. Let's go to the book of, Romans. Actually, let's go to Proverbs chapter 4. All right. Just trying to get one off the spirit. Right. And there's a lot of examples we can get. I'm not going to go into an in-depth breakdown, but I just want to show you maybe two examples of precept upon precept. Proverbs chapter 4 and 7. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom. With all thy getting, get understanding. So, what is wisdom, right? What is understanding? The Bible also serves as a dictionary. It serves as its own dictionary. It defines words in other verses outside of the verse that you're reading. So if you want to know what wisdom is and understanding, there's another precept, meaning another verse in the Bible that actually defines what these words mean. So now you have this precept, you link it up with another precept that defines what this precept is going into, and it gives you the understanding. Right? Let's get a precept for what wisdom is. Right? Let's find, it's like a puzzle piece. Brother have done puzzles in the world. You know, you have one puzzle piece, you have another puzzle piece. In order to see the entire picture, you have to put these puzzle pieces together. So a precept can be used to define a particular word and show the meaning in the verse. Right? Let's give an example of that. What is wisdom? And you have maybe 3 or 4, maybe more. Definitely more precepts that define what wisdom is. Let's get a precept for that. Let's go to Job chapter 28. right? Let's go to Job chapter 28. And I want to see how much time I got. I'm going to have to do a part 2 on this, right? We'll see how the spirit goes. Right? Let's go to Job chapter 28 and 28. And unto man he said, behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and to depart from evil is understanding. So now you know what wisdom is. If wisdom is the principal thing, like, well, what is wisdom? Well, it's defined in his precept. It's telling what wisdom is. Wisdom is the fear of the Lord. Now this verse says you have to get the understanding. Well, what is understanding? Well, understanding is to depart from evil. Comprehension. So certain verses explain what other verses are going into. Now you may say, hold on now. That makes sense. But doesn't Job come before Proverbs? How would I know that? How would I read the book of Job, but how would I know that that's what that's talking about? If Proverbs comes after Job. Remember, every precept is not going to come, or to define it, it's not going to come in the following book. It may be from Genesis. There may be something in the Revelation, which it is, that you can only understand if you go all the way back to Genesis. There may be something in Genesis that you can only understand if you go to the book of Proverbs. And that's why it's important to be taught. You'll learn those precepts by being taught. That's what the Most High set up apostles, prophets, teachers to do lessons and teach you the breakdowns. They're commanded to break the Bible down to you. You're not going to have a microphone come down and men just teach the word. I mean, and angels do class every Shabbat. So the Lord has men, whether it's in this camp or that congregation, or a man over here or a father here, to teach you the words of the Lord. And you also, as you read, you'll notice that the Spirit will show you certain precepts and say, wow, I remember reading something like that in Proverbs. Let me go back to that in Job. And you may highlight that in Job. And I'm going to get into all of the highlights and all of that as well. I want to show you another precept for wisdom and understanding. Right? Because Proverbs 4:7 says, wisdom is a principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding. Let's get another precept. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 9, 10. Right? Proverbs chapter 9, Salakia, and verse 10. The fear of Yahweh is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the holy is understanding. So understanding is defined as the knowledge of the holy. Understanding is defined as departing from evil. So what is the knowledge of the holy? That's the knowledge of the Most High. But what is holy? What's the precept to show you what is holy that you must have knowledge of? What is holy? Let's get a precept to show you what is holy. Let's go to Romans chapter 7. The Most High says the knowledge of the holy is understanding. Here's a precept to show you what is holy. Romans chapter 7 and 12. Wherefore the law is holy. You see that? And the commandment holy and just and good. Do you see the chain of precepts? Proverbs chapter 4 and 7 says, wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding. If I want to know what understanding is, Proverbs 9 and 10 says, the knowledge of the holy is understanding. Well, what's holy? Well, the law is holy and the commandment holy. So now I essentially fill in that word holy to understand what understanding is, if that makes sense. I hope that registers with brothers. So when it says and Proverbs 4:7, wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom, with all that getting, get understanding. It really means get the knowledge of the law, right? Understanding is the knowledge of the law. Understanding is the knowledge, meaning to know the judgments, to know the law, to know the commandments. That is understanding. That's why you have precepts, right? Let's get another example of a precept. Let's go to Revelation, the 12th chapter, right? Let's go to Revelation, the 12th chapter. I kind of paraphrased it, but I want to show you just a simple precept. Revelation, chapter 12, and 1. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. So this is what you call a dark saying. Certain things in the Bible are dark, meaning they are hidden. When something is dark, it's hidden. Doesn't mean that nothing is there. If you go in a room and it's dark, it doesn't mean that the room is empty. Simply because you can't see what's in the room, it does not mean that there isn't anything in the room. It could be a couch there, a lamp. It can be a table there. It could be a chair. But since it's dark, it's hidden. So you have dark sayings in the Bible, which means the true understanding of it, it's hidden. Everything in the Bible is not plain. You have plain text. You have dark sayings. You have parables. You have proverbs. Let's go into the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2. Let's prove that real quick. Right? Let's go to Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter. I want to leave no stone unturned. No stone unturned. Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 2. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision, make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. So when something is made plain, it's made easy to comprehend. Right? 1 + 1 is 2. That's plain. You know what isn't plain? 1x times 6x to the third divided by 4x plus q squared equals 2. That's not plain. That's hard. You got to sit there, okay, what does this mean? And you got to think about it. You got to plug this in, and that's not plain. But what is plain? 1 + 1 is 2. Certain verses are plain in the Bible. You read it, and it's telling you straight up and down what it means. What's an example of something plain? Let's get an example of what's plain. Let's go to Genesis, the 7th chapter. Right? What's plain in the Bible? Genesis chapter 7 and verse 2. Of every clean beast thou shalt take to thee by sevens, the male and his female, and the beasts that are not clean by 2, the male and his female. This is plain. You don't have to think twice about what this means. There is really no in-depth breakdown. This is not double fold. Well, beast, the Most High really took man because man is a beast, and he took clean beasts. He took clean Israelites by sevens because they washed themselves in the word of God. So the Most High took other people besides it. No, that's not what it's talking about. That's why you have to have discernment. Because if you don't have any discernment, the brother break it down like that, man. Clean beasts, those are clean Israelites that have repented that he also took in by sevens. No, this is plain. Of every clean beast, like gazelles, sheep, oxen, they went into the ark by sevens. Don't think that it was just 2 and 2 in the ark like you learned in Christian church. Unclean beasts, like pigs, right? Like reptiles, those went in by 2s. This is plain. Certain things are just plain. Let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 3 and 2. All right? So certain things you may really need precepts to help you understand. Certain things are just plain. 2 Corinthians chapter 3 and 12. Seeing then that we have such hope, we use great plainness of speech. So certain things, again, are fundamental. They're just easy to understand, right? Certain laws where the Most High said, thou shalt not kill. That's plain. Okay, well, thou shalt not kill. It really, on a deeper level, is talking about thou shalt not kill, because the old man, when you have the old man, yeah, you can mortify him, but you can't kill him, because if you, no, thou shalt not kill is plain. In the Hebrew, it's even plainer. La'ah dazra tazak, right? Which means you no murder. La'ah thana'ah, la'ah taganah, right? La'ah thainah. All of these things are plain, right? Certain things are not plain. Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 49. Right? So when you're reading the Bible, you have to get this understanding. How to deal with the precepts, how to deal with wisdom, how to read the Bible, what to expect when you read. What's in this thing? Proverbs chapter 9 and verse 3. 49 and 3. My mouth shall speak of wisdom, and the meditation of my heart shall be of understanding. I will incline mine ear to a parable. I will open my dark sayings upon the heart. So you have things that are plain, but you also have parables. And you have dark sayings, right? A parable, it's an illustrated story or illustrated account to represent real life events. That's what a parable is. A parable isn't plain. You have to read between the lines essentially, or it has to be expounded unto you what a parable is. A dark saying is something that's hidden. Code, if you can understand, it's written in code. It's not for everybody to see. So these are the different things you have in the Bible. Yahweh Shai spoke in parables. Let's go to the book of Mark, chapter 4 and 10. Right, let's go to St. Mark. Right, Salakia. Let's go to Mark 4 and 10. Right, and when he was alone, they that were about him with the 12 asked of him the parable. So they asked Yahweh Shai what this parable meant. And he said unto them, unto you it is given to know the mystery of the kingdom of God. But unto them that are without, all these things are done in parables. So he told the apostles, you're the only ones that can know what I'm really saying. Everybody else, they're not going to know it. Yahweh Shai deliberately taught in a mystery for the sole purpose that everybody wouldn't get it. I mean, when you go to the so-called Chinese store or whatever, when you was in the world, they're literally talking in that language just so you don't understand what they're saying. They do that on purpose. You go to the damn Arab store, the gas station, whatever, they're talking in Arabic because they are intentionally keeping you out the loop. Yahweh Shai does the exact same thing. Certain things in the Bible aren't for everybody. It's to keep certain people out the loop. You know? That's why you have parables, dark sayings. Now, this is a dark saying in Revelation 12. This isn't plain. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. So this is a dark saying. Now, the part I want to touch on is what these 12 stars represent. You would never know what these 12 stars represent. I'm not going to break down that entire verse, right? It's speaking about Israel being clothed and covered from their sins with the brightness of the understanding of the law. And the 12 stars mean what? Let's go to the book of Genesis. Let's show you a precept for the 12 stars, a corresponding relating verse to define what this verse is speaking about. Genesis chapter 37. Right? That's why we say you have to go precept upon precept, line upon line. What does the 12 stars represent? Genesis chapter 37 and 9. And he dreamed yet another dream and told it his brethren and said, this is what Joseph said. Behold, I have dreamed a dream and more. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. So you had 12 stars. Joseph is a star. His 11 brothers are the other stars. Now, that verse is a precept to show you what this is talking about. How would you know what these 12 stars really represent if you didn't read about these stars in the book of Genesis? Right? You would never know. You would say, well, it's actually talking about stars, Orion's belt, and and the Big Dipper, and it's really it's not talking about what you think it is. It's talking about the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. You have precepts in the Bible that show you the deeper meaning behind what stars represent. Right? Let's go to the book of Daniel, the 12th chapter. Right? Just to show you, I'm just showing you now how to deal with precepts, right? How to deal with precepts. Daniel chapter 12 and 3. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament. And they that turn many to righteousness as the what? As the stars forever and ever. So if you turn people to the truth and to the commandments, the Lord likens you unto a star. So men are likened unto stars in the Bible due to them being a light in a period of darkness, due to them not fainting, due to them being in order to instruct you in a period of confusion and darkness. Did not so-called slaves follow the stars, the North Star, and other constellations to guide them in night and distress? So it is with the men of the Lord. In this period of darkness and confusion and sin and sodomy that we dwell in, you have men that are stars to guide you forever and ever, man. To turn many to righteousness. Now, hold on now. That shows you that these stars are talking about men. Right here. A crown of 12 stars. So that's another example how to deal with the precepts on a deeper level. You can go to Genesis. You can go to the book of Daniel, the 12th chapter. You can go to, let's get one more precept for the stars. Now, when you're dealing with precepts, you want to have at least 2 to 3 witnesses. At least 2 or 3 to help you explain, right? Because one precept you may not really, I don't want to use the word sold, but your spirit may not really sup with one precept. You may want more than one precept, right? Ecclesiasticus chapter 43 and verse 9, right? It reads, the beauty of heaven, the glory of the stars, an ornament giving light in the highest places of the Lord. That is speaking about actual stars, but let's see the characteristic of a star and why the Most High called men stars. At the commandment of the Holy One, they will stand in their order and never faint in their watches. So certain men don't faint. Even though this is talking about actual stars, now we see the characteristic of an actual star and why it makes perfect sense for the Most High to call a man a star. Because they move in the same spirit. Certain men that the Lord set up, they don't faint. They're constantly teaching. They constantly endure. They don't fall out. Men like Elijah, men like Jeremiah, men like the Maccabees, men like the apostles, they didn't faint. They continued in the word of the Lord. That's what the Most High says, men are stars. So that's how you deal essentially with the precepts. So yes, you read the Bible in chronological order, right, to keep things in this proper context. But if you want to get the understanding of the precepts, you have to be taught. That's why you watch the videos. You take notes. And as you read, the Spirit will sup with you and show you other accounts to link up with those precepts. That's how you read the Bible. Because again, you may be reading Genesis on your own, right? Let's say you're reading Genesis on your own. And there's nothing wrong with that. But then let's say, you're watching the street teaching or, you're watching the video and they're not going to just pull precepts from Genesis. You can't force these men to go out on the highways and byways and pull precepts based off of what you're reading. those precepts that you see on the teachings on the streets are literally predicated to the situation that's at hand. If they're dealing with a sodomite, precepts are going to go into sodomy. Isaiah 1:9, Isaiah 3:9, 2 Peter 2:6, Genesis 13:13, Leviticus 18:22, Leviticus 20:13, etc. So if you are sitting up there hearing these precepts, write those down. Write a topic down. And this is now we're kind of segueing into studying. Right? We're kind of segueing. We covered kind of reading, but now we're kind of segueing into studying. So how I study, because you're reading your own, like you're reading Genesis, you're getting built up. And there are videos, real quick, not to digress, but there are videos on Genesis. Right? We try to, on the old Contextual channel, and we have a lot of these videos backed up. We try to have a video just for every topic under the sun. We want to get to a point where you can go on the Contextual channel, just type in any word, and a breakdown can come up. How to pray, how to fast, how to study, how to read, Revelation 12, particular prophecies, marriage, your household. We want to have various topics so brothers can have precepts for those topics. Now, with that being said, Slakia, with that precept being said, with that being said, you're also going to have topics that you hear from lessons, from sit downs, from cat videos, and you're going to write those, or you should write those precepts down. Some brothers highlight, right? I have highlighters, right? I have highlighters, yellow, orange, green. You can do whatever you want to do in righteousness, right? Do I highlight in my Bible personally? No, right? Do brothers highlight? Is it wrong to highlight in your Bible? No. You'll find every brother has their own particular preference on how they study. Now, what we're going to go into now is how to study your precepts. Because you're going to read and you may hear a video or a lesson and you're going to take notes or highlight. What should you be highlighting? When do you highlight? Right? How should you do it? Does highlighting work for me? These are questions that you should ask yourself if you do these things, or just, to figure out how you should study. Now, like I said, I don't highlight in my Bible, right? I don't have highlights in none of the Bibles I have. That doesn't work for me. It works for other brothers, and all praises, right? But every brother learns different. You have brothers that are that they have to hear it. If you tell a brother how to get from point A to point B, he may just want to hear it. Another brother, he got to see it on a map, right? Another brother, you got to tell him 3 times. Some brothers, you got to use hand. Everybody learns different, Now, if what I'm about to go into doesn't work for you, I can also show you how to highlight in the Bible as well. So what I tend to do, dealing back with sodomy, because that's a topic that, if you're dealing with a sodomite is a homosexual at camp. Let's say you're at camp teaching and a homosexual comes up and they become completely profane, more than they actually are. When they begin to scoff and rebel, and then you have brothers rebuke them, meaning correct them. You have precepts on sodomy written down, or that you may have. So let's say you hear a video. What I do, right, or if I'm reading, I deal with flashcards, right? I deal with flashcards. So the cards, these are all blank, right? They're all blank, right? You can get a pack of 150, 200, and I like to get the ones without the lines on them, right? Because they kind of get in the way of the words that I want to write. I like to get plain 3x5 flashcards. This is what I like to do. You don't have to do it. That don't work for you. It don't work for you, right? You want to give it a try, give it a try. If you want to say, no, I don't do that, then I can go into other, also other things on how to study. So let's say you have a topic that comes up like sodomy. I'm going to say this. There's a precept for everything. There's a precept for everything. There's a precept for hair. There's a precept for the nations. There's a precept for precepts. There's a precept for showing how to give precepts. There's a precept for beasts. There's a precept for man. There's a precept for everything. And you men that go to camp on the highways and byways, you know that you got to be well equipped to deal with a variety of topics. Somebody may ask you anything. They may ask you, oh, I was reading the Bible and I heard about regeneration. Can you explain regeneration? Guess what? You better have them precepts studied on regeneration. Ecclesiastes 1:9 through 11, Ecclesiastes 3:15. You want to go to different accounts, Luke 1:16 through 17, Malachi 4:5, Matthew 17:10. You want to have these accounts. They may, your wife may ask you, hey, look, I don't know what this precept is talking about, what marriage is about. You got to go through precepts on marriage. I'm going to say this again, and maybe one more time after this. There is a precept for everything. Dealing strictly, all right, this is just a precept I just have right here, man. So I'm going to show you how I deal with the precepts. I deal with precepts according to the topic, right? According to the topic. So let's say the precept is rebuking sodomy. So I'll write the precept down. I'll give myself a generic topic. So let's say no homosexuality, right? And I'm gonna show you exactly what I'm doing. I'll write the precept. This is how I deal with it. Right? No homosexuality. So Salaki, if you can't read the handwriting, that'll be the topic. And I will line this up with nothing but topics. This is just one topic. I have a topic here, etc. Here's a finished version. It's not the best version of what it would look like, right? It's not the neatest, but let me see if I got a neater one. Let's see. Okay, this is a little bit more easier to see. So here's a precept, right? Now these are my own personal precepts. All right. Okay, here's the topic, right? Own opinion doesn't matter, but God have precepts for that. Slavery for the heathen, the God of Israel. This is one of the first. This is a milk precept. Okay, though hand joined in hand for women that are whores, wicked women. Precepts for the Immaculate Conception, 2/3. Yahweh Shah is not coming back with peace. Have precepts how to break down Cornelius on a quick level. So this is just one flashcard. One flashcard can hold, over 75 precepts and, 30 to 20 different topics. Let's see. I'm just pulling these out. There's another card. Okay, who the men of the Lord are. Should you commit suicide permissible? Unclean foods. Right? Just various topics, man. Various topics. Here's another one. I know I'm moving fast. Angels, I know the handwriting is bad, but, write it how you want to. The angels don't sin. How to be a man. Man from the youth that's given to evil. Precepts on noonday. What is that? Talk not much with a fool. You see all of the precepts that go with it. Yes, you can judge. You have people say you can't judge. You got precepts on showing otherwise. How to pray, more prayer precepts, salvation precepts. So those are different precepts that you can have. So I always have a topic written out. And then you have your precepts that go exactly with it. All right, they go exactly with it. So again, we're dealing with the topic of no sodomy. So you have precepts, and you can start yourself off with 3 precepts, right? Let's say Leviticus 18 and 22. Leviticus, and I'm going to show you what I'm going into, 20 and 13, and Can another brother pull a precept for sodomy to show who's studying? Right? Let another brother who study pull the precept saying that you can't be a sodomite. And I'm going to just add it. Just to show who's studying. Right? For brothers that are a little bit more seasoned. I already got Leviticus 18 and 22 and Leviticus 20 and 13. Who has another precept? If not, I got more. Right? Right? I got more. Okay, well, I don't see nothing. So I'm gonna add the ones. Okay, Romans 1 and 26. All right, we'll deal with that one. That's a good one. Romans 1 and 26. We'll get one more. Right? Let's get one more. 1 Corinthians 6 and 9. We'll deal with that one as well. All right, so we have 4 precepts, good precepts. Right? 1 Corinthians 6 and 9. So look at this. You'll have your precept, no homosexuality, and then you have what I call a chain of precepts that go exactly with that. So now if you want to study, and this is just one topic, if you look on these cards, I mean, there are let's see, I just got a lot of flashcards. I'll pull this one back up, right? Salakia. You have many topics. And you can start yourself off with at least 4 precepts per topic. And as you build yourself up, you'll find yourself having more. This is just not, we're not going into applying the precepts, just going into showing you how to study and keep them in your mind, right? Everything that you are studying, a quick disclaimer, you should be charging yourself either to apply this or to avoid the judgment that happened in this particular account, right? So what I tend to do, let's say you take a highlighter, right? I highlight the topic, one color. This just showing you what I tend to do. So I'll highlight no homosexuality, one color, and then I will highlight the precepts, another color, right? This is just me showing you how I study the precepts. If it doesn't work for you, then it don't work for you, right? So now you have the precepts that are another color. So now when you're studying, you're looking at your card, you can flip it over, you can cover your hand, you can just put it down, and you can say, okay, no homosexuality. And then you charge yourself to call those precepts out that pertain to that topic. Okay, Leviticus 20 and 13, Leviticus 18 and 22, 1 Corinthians 6 and 9, Romans 1 and 26, Isaiah 3 and 9, Isaiah chapter 1 and 9, Sirach chapter 19, at 29 on down, 2 Peter chapter 2 and 6, Genesis 13 and 13, Deuteronomy chapter 23 and 17. And you can just keep going on and on and on and on and on and on. Right? Do you have to know 10 precepts per topic? No. You can start off with 3 and build yourself up. That's why when brothers are kept through the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, they are able to pull a plethora of precepts for each topic under the sun. Right? And this helps me because I can have multiple topics on one card, and I can have at least 30 flashcards, and I'll go over maybe 10 a day, 5 a day, and actually get into it. Now, I'll show you another example. Another topic is the milk. Let's say the milk. The milk are the fundamental principles of the truth. For example, knowing the law, the statutes, the commandments, how to repent, forgiveness, your nationality, right? These things are called the milk. So there are precepts that show you what the milk is. 1 Corinthians 3 and 1, Isaiah 28 and 9, 1 Peter 2 and 2, Song of Solomon 4 and 11, Isaiah 55 and 1, Hebrews 5 and 12 on down, etc. These precepts deal with the milk. So that's another topic you could write. You could say, okay, what is the milk? You can write that underneath this one. And then you can write your precepts down that deal with it. I'll just write down 3. 1 Peter 2 and 2. I'll write down 1 Corinthians 3 and 1, right through 2. And I'll write down Isaiah 28 and 9, right? And Hebrews, I'll do 4, 5 and 13. So again, you have those precepts. So now you have 2 topics that you know and the precepts that go with it. Somebody say, well, I keep saying that word milk in the Bible. What is the milk? I need more precepts for the milk. Oh, well, brother, you can go to Hebrews 5 and 12, Isaiah 28 and 9, etc. And I'm going to say this too. It takes time to actually have these precepts in your mind. You can't just look at it one time and say, well, I know it. You have to go over it. Hours, literally hours. Dedicate an hour. See what works best for you. Some brothers, they pick it up quicker. So it could be the gift of the Most High. You know, some brothers got to put in more time. Like with anything, man, you're not going to be able to. These guys to play basketball, they don't shoot well because they practice once a month, right? And these guys are in the gym, man. They live in the gym. They say Michael Jordan used to ask for the keys to the gym from maintenance in the facilities, and he'll be in the gym, you know, with the lights off, man. It has some lights on, but you know, the lights in the audience, he's just in there by himself, putting in work. It takes time. You're not going to get it overnight. A lot of people work out. You know what they do after they work out? They go look in the mirror and start flexing, sucking in their stomach, doing this. Brother, nothing changed. You just got done working out. Your first time. Do you think that you're really going to show improvement in one day on a physical level? No. Give it 3 months. Give it 5 months. Now you're beginning to see the change in your physical structure. Now those cuts are coming in. Now them abs are showing. Now you're like, wow, I actually see improvement because you have 3 things. You have discipline, you have consistency, and you have repetition. These are traits that you should acquire and obtain when it comes to the precepts. Let's go to 2 Timothy chapter 1. I want to pull this up. Right? Let's go to 2 Timothy, the 1st chapter. Right? 2 Timothy chapter 1. And let's actually go to verse 7. 2 Timothy 1 and 7. For the Most High hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Now, the point I want to touch on is sound mind. You have to know what this is going into. So therefore, we're going to go into the Greek, which is another form of studying, but that comes in time, right? That comes in due time. Going into the etymology, the Hebrew, the Greek, that comes in time, you know? So here's this word, sound mind.
Strong's G 4995. Sophronismas.
Sophronismas, right? It means and admonishing or calling to soundness of mind, to moderation and self-control. Self-control, moderation, discipline. The Most High have given us the spirit of self-control and discipline. What does discipline have to do with studying? Well, in order to dedicate your time to something and to not be distracted and to commit to something and to have some type of diligence, you have to have discipline. To be consistent in something, to have a regimen, you must have discipline. So when you're studying, you have to discipline yourself and dedicate time. You know? Okay, look, I'm going to study an hour before work. Okay, I know I usually my alarm, I get up, I got to be up. This is not me, but this is just an example. If you got to work, 9, 8, if you work a 9 to 5, right? You get up at whatever time you get up. Let's say you get up at 7:45. You eat, whatever, take you 30 minutes to get to work, and that's your schedule. But can you be content with that? If you really want something, you're going to go above and beyond. So now, instead of getting up at 7:45, let's say you get up at 7 o'clock. Instead of 7:45, let's say you get up at 7 o'clock. You're disciplining yourself to get up 45 minutes earlier than you usually do. And you're going to dedicate that 45 minutes to studying the precepts. You're going to go back over, okay, no homosexuality. All right, Leviticus 20:13, so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so. You're going to push yourself. You're going to be on your lunch break thinking about those precepts. Hey, all of my so-called flashcards, I take pictures of them. I have them on my phone as an album. So if I'm on my so-called lunch break, or if I'm, sitting at the desk or whatever, I can just pull up the flashcard and kind of look at it. Okay, that's what that's talking about. That's that precept. That's that precept. So you need self-discipline. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 9. And you got to see what schedule works for you, man. These guys that go to the gym, they hit the, let's see if I can find this, Slovakia. You got guys that box, right? And these guys punch that speed bag, man. They hit that heavy bag and hit the speed bag. And they do this daily. They go to the gym daily. They're there at 6 in the morning. They're there, when their mind doesn't want to be there. But they do it anyway. These guys, they really want it. How many men are fighting to be the #1 contender? How many men want that championship? How many men want to wear that title, want the fame, the accolades? And if you really want it, you're going to do what it takes. You're not going to do the average. You're not going to do the bare minimum. You're not just going to be mediocre. You're going to go above and beyond. Because guess what? If this guy is getting up on your screen, if he's getting up at 7 a.m. in the morning, this guy, he's getting up at 6 a.m. This guy gets up at 7 a.m. He leaves at 9 a.m. 7 to 9. This guy gets up. He's doing 6 to 10. Who do you think is going to be more on fire to get the championship? This guy that works 7 to 9, or this guy that does 6 to 10 daily? Hey, this guy. If I had to put my money on something, which I wouldn't do, I'd put it on this guy, man. Because he has discipline, a regimen. He's sacrificing time. He's putting other things. Hey, guess what, man? This guy, his wife may call him and say, "You're always at the gym. You don't never hang out with me." His kids may want to kind of go to the park with him. "Dad, take me to the park. I want to go down a slide. I want to see so-and-so." His mom is calling him. "You never visit me. You never visit me at all. I want you coming over every day." Hey, but what do you think this guy is thinking about, man? He wants the championship. He wants to be the best. So what is he telling his mom? First of all, he's putting his phone on do not disturb. When he's at the gym, he got his music on and his phone is on do not disturb. He's telling his wife, "Hey, look, we'll do it after I'm done. This comes first. I'm trying to put on for our family. Trying to do something for us. All of that fun, all that could wait. This comes first." So this guy, he's going to be the champion. This guy, he's getting drinks at 9 a.m. He kind of go there for fun. Some people go to the gym, they just talk, hit the speed bag, and they kind of talking about what they're going to do. And some woman they did, God knows what with. They damn flirting at the gym. But this guy, he's going to make it. He's going to be somebody. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 9 and 24. Right? 1 Corinthians chapter 9 and 24. Know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize. So run that ye may obtain. So the Most High likens this truth into a competitive race. You don't have, and this is not a little league where everybody that has a Bible gets the kingdom. The Most High said, hey, one receiveth the prize. So only the elect are going to make it out of here. We're all running the race. Guess what? Only 1/3 is going to make it. And we're all trying to fight our way to the kingdom. I'm fighting my way. You fighting your way. Everybody may not make it. This thing is a race, man. You got people slowing down, people looking back. Hey, I'm trying to get there, man. So the Most High likens this into it like a spiritual competition. Not that it's an actual competition, but it shows you the spirit that men should be in. And because guess what? You might not make it. Somebody could be passing you right now. While you're on your phone on TikTok for an hour, another man, he's studying for an hour. He wants it better than you. He wants it more than you. So when those chariots come, that time you spent off was the factor of you not making it. The Most High needed one more man for the kingdom. And it came down to you and this guy. He said, look, this guy, he's always taking time. I want this guy. Beam him up. Destroy that man. Verse 25, and every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible. And this is one of my favorite verses in the Bible. It teaches you that this thing requires discipline. That's what temperance is. If you're striving for the mastery, if you want to be successful in anything, people want to be successful in music, people want to be successful in sports, they want success in their marriage. You want success studying the precepts and being more acquainted in your memory. You got to be temperate in all things. You have to have self-control, discipline, consistency, a regimen, a schedule, self-sacrifice. Men do that for folly and vanity, a corruptible crown, a championship belt that's going to get burnt, a golden medal that you can't take to the kingdom. Men discipline themselves for things that are vanity. What we're fighting for is an incorruptible crown. I therefore so run, not as uncertainly. So fight I, not as one that beateth the air. So you got people that fight and they don't even know why they're fighting. Like I said, they just go to the gym and they kind of just shadow box in the corner. You got men that take time. They go to the gym to flirt with women, kind of just shadow box, moving around, right? They rent out the gym, the shadow box. No, I got next. So they get in the ring and they have no intentions of being the champion. They don't want to fight nobody. Hey, when I used to hoop, I knew people, brothers that, used to do these things or you still do it. You go to the court, there's always those 1 or 2 guys, they just shoot around. They don't want to play game. They don't want to run full court. They don't want to run no 5-on-5. Oh, I'm just here. And they kind of they got the headphones on. They got all of they got the Nike sleeve. They got the latest shoes. They got the high socks. They got the compression shorts. You got the headband on. You would think they want to run a full court game, 5-on-5. Those guys, they just want to kind of just shoot around, man, and take pictures. They'll set their phone up and prop their phone up to record them kind of shooting. Those guys, they don't know why they're there, man. They don't want it, man. They just there for vanity. Yeah, so they could post it on Instagram, right? I'm on fire, right? I'm doing my thing. Then you guys that kind of go to the court and they rubbing the mittens, man, right? They get to the court and the first thing they ask is, who got next? Who won? They're walking around, who got next? Okay, I'm after him. You want to run? You got guys like that, man. You want to run? Even if they lose, they kind of sit down. Look, can I run with you? So they know why they're there to win. They're there to prove themselves, man. But then you got guys like this. Where's this guy? Let me pull up shadow boxing. You got guys that just shadow box. So you got guys that study and get into this word, but they don't even know why they're here, man, why they're doing this thing. Then you got men that study because they want to study to teach their people. They want to study to memorize the precepts. They want to study to go out on the highways and byways. They want to study to apply these precepts in their life. Look at the shadow boxing. This guy right here. Just throwing punches in the air. They never want to fight nobody. See that? They'll hire guys to kind of watch them. And then you got guys that are contenders. Right? This is what Paul meant when he says in 1 Corinthians 9, not as one that beateth the air. Because you got guys that are just beat the air all day, man. So you got to have a discipline. 1 Corinthians 9:27. But I keep under my body and bring it into subjection, lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway. So Paul was about discipline. He was about pushing himself and disciplining the flesh. Because there are times when you don't want to study, when you're tired, things may come up, but you got to sacrifice those things, man. And you got to put studying first. And there are times when you've been studying for an hour and you kind of fainting. Hey, tell yourself 5 more minutes. You could do it. 5 more minutes. And then, okay, I can do it. 5 more minutes. Okay, I want to go over this precept. Okay, I need this precepts about zeal. 2 Kings 10:16, Revelation chapter 3:19, so-and-so. Okay, this precept about predestination, Ephesians 1:4, Ephesians 1:11, 2 Timothy 1:9, Titus 1:1, so on and so forth. Okay, and you kind of push yourself. Those are the guys that are successful, man. The men that push themselves in the spirit. Those guys that work out and say, 1 more, 3 more, 5 more. So when you're studying, it's not just studying to study. You have to have a reason on why you're studying, and you have to have discipline. And ultimately, you have to pray to Yahweh Shai that he gives you the spirit to retain these precepts and to apply them. 2 Ezra chapter 14 and verse 40. And I took it and drank, and when I had drunk it, my heart uttered understanding, and wisdom grew in my breast. For my spirit strengthened my memory. So what's going to strengthen your memory? Your spirit. You got to put in work. Ezra put in work. He was fasting for days. Sometimes you have to fast. And go on to fast that the Most High gives you the spirit to retain these precepts. Not for vanity's sake, not to be seen in vainglory, but for feeding the flock and for building yourself up, for teaching your household, for disciplining yourself. A lot of brothers, they study precepts just to get on Esau. Yeah, I want to know Revelation 13:9, Isaiah 14:1, Jeremiah 30:16, 2 Ezra 13:13, Psalms chapter 149:5 on down, Ecclesiastes chapter 33, so-and-so. So they just studying precepts just to get on Esau. No, it's not just about getting on Esau. You need to remember these precepts for you. And for judgment, to make decisions according to the law. A brother committed adultery, and you're trying to figure out what to do in the matter. Brother, you should have known the precepts. What to do concerning adultery. All you know is Revelation 13:9 and Isaiah 14:1, 2 Ezra 6:54, Isaiah 49:23, Isaiah chapter 60, 10 through 14, Proverbs chapter 14:19. You only know those precepts, but you don't know precepts on how to build yourself up. All you know is rebuke precepts for the people, but you don't know precepts about you that you can apply. And the Most High said in Ecclesiastes, see where I'm at with time. Right, Salaki, bear with me. Okay, I'm pressed for time. I may have to get maybe 3 more. Ecclesiastes chapter 9. right? Ecclesiastes chapter 9 and 18. Wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one sinner destroyeth much good, right? So you need wisdom. Wisdom is a defense, right? Let me get that in Ecclesiastes chapter, I want to get 7, and I want to get Ecclesiastes chapter 10. Right? Let me get Ecclesiastes 7 to 12. For wisdom is a defense, and money is a defense, but the excellency of knowledge is that wisdom giveth life to them that have it. So wisdom is indeed a defense. So when demons are coming at you, when you're in a situation you may not know what to do, you want to have those precepts in your mind. Another man's wife asks you to have drinks with her, to get for a hug, or to spend time with her. You should have that precept to defend you from that demon. Now hold on, Ecclesiastes, it's like Ecclesiasticus, the 9th chapter, right? 7 on down says otherwise. Sit not at all with another man's wife. Spend not thy money with her at the wine. Lest thine heart incline unto her, and so through thou desire, paraphrasing, thou fall into destruction. First Ezra 4 and 26 on down. Many have perished in error to sinful women. So you need precepts, Proverbs 31, right? 1 on down. Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings. So you want to have those precepts in your mind. Say, hold on, these precepts, they come right to me. No, I'm not having no drinks with you. No, I'm not spending no time with you. You're married. The law says this. So that's why it's good to go over those precepts to keep you out of sin, to keep you from the evil man, right? From the woman that flattereth with her words. Let's get that in Proverbs chapter 2. Right? Proverbs, the 2nd chapter. Right? Proverbs chapter 2 and verse 10. When wisdom entereth into thine heart, and knowledge is pleasant unto thy soul, discretion shall preserve thee, understanding shall keep thee, to deliver thee from the way of the evil man, from the man that speaketh forward things. So wisdom can deliver you from situations, from stress, from depression, from demons, from folly and vanity. If you have studied the precepts and you're keeping them in your mind, it's going to deliver you from evil men, from situations, events. So that's why it's good to have a wide variety of topics that you study. Like I said, you can have multiple, and you start off, you pace yourself at a time. You start off with kind of maybe 5 topics, simple things, maybe the dietary law or simple milk. And then you build yourself up. Then you'll find yourself precepts on the Gentiles, precepts on the olive branch, precepts on the dragon, precepts on living water. And you build yourself up with various topics at a time. Precepts on how to rebuke, precepts on this. So you need, like I said, if you have a flashcard, you want to put a flashcard together, by all means do so. And it takes time. You go over your precepts daily. And another thing, when it comes to, Salakia, bear with me 1 second. Bear with me. Salakia. When it comes to remembering the precepts, another thing that helps, this is another thing that helps, is meditation. Am I talking about the Chinese man's meditation when they sit there and cross their legs and say, and they go out and they freak off and they do yoga and they do this and it's not what they doing. You see these guys in the field and that's not what the Most High is talking about when he says meditation. Doesn't mean go out in a damn field, man, at your local park with that nasty sticky mat. That's madness, man. That's not meditation. That's absolute folly. So when you want to memorize the precepts, You want to meditate in them as well. Meditation is when you're constantly thinking about these particular precepts, right? Let's go to the book of Genesis. So you can be meditating with driving to work. You don't have to listen to music all the time. Hey, think about the precepts. Kind of, okay, a precept on adultery, precepts on how to break down John 3:16, precepts on the wine of the Bible, precepts on the Gentiles, and you're thinking about them as you drive. Okay, precepts on the wine. Okay, Song of Solomon chapter 8 and 1 through 3. Okay, Matthew chapter 9 and 16, Isaiah chapter 55 and 1, and then you're pushing yourself to study these precepts. Okay, what are precepts on brotherly love? Okay, we got 1 John chapter 3. Okay, 10 on down, Leviticus 19 to 17, John 13:34. So, you could be out driving, you could be in the shower, you could be just sitting out, you could shut your phone off and just meditate in the precepts. You close your eyes and just think about these different topics. And that allows your spirit to absorb it. So not only are you studying, but after you're done studying, you just take time to just meditate in the word of the Lord, man. And you'll find yourself having these precepts stick to you better and better. So let me get this precept real quick. Let's go to the book of Psalms. Let's get the classic. Okay, I'm gonna have to get maybe one, maybe two more, and I have to wind down. Right, let's go to Psalms chapter 1. Psalms chapter 1 and verse 1. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of Yahweh, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. So you have to meditate. You have to have deep thoughts about the law. Okay, what are the laws about the diet? And you don't have to, you meditate by yourself. Okay, Leviticus 11:45. Okay, Leviticus 11:7 is this. Okay, the beard is Leviticus 19 and so and so. Okay, adultery. Okay, Leviticus 20:13. It's like Leviticus 20:10. Right? Okay, this is this, and you kind of just think about it. You separate yourself. You turn your damn social media off. Put your phone on do not disturb. Go out to the damn park, man. Go to the beach. Go by a body of water. Go sit down somewhere, man. And just think about the words of life and meditate on these accounts day and night. And what is the benefit of doing that? Verse 3 tells you, and he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water. So you're going to constantly grow in this thing that bringeth forth fruit in his season. His leaf, meaning your understanding, also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. So the wise man, he's going to meditate in the law day and night. The ungodly are not. And the men that have more understanding are the men that meditate in the law. Men that are diligent when it comes to studying the precepts. Right? So you want to meditate, you want to study, and do the flashcards. Man, I even have flashcards, like your flashcard holders, right? I laminate them. I have a damn it's over there, but I have something where I laminate my so-called flashcards to prevent them from being worn and torn. Because sometimes your highlights still kind of fade, right? They kind of fade. They get, Bible get messed up. So I'll laminate them. I'll keep them in good condition, and I go over, right? I'll flip it over. Okay, what are precepts on talk not much with a fool? Okay, Ecclesiasticus chapter 22 and 13, Proverbs 23 and 9, Proverbs 29 and 9, Proverbs 26 and 3, Proverbs 15, 21, Ecclesiastes chapter 10 and 12 on down, etc., etc., etc. Right? And you study, and you be able to have them like that. And you ultimately have to pray to Yahweh Shai that he gives you the ability to remember these precepts and to apply them and be put them in due season to feed the flock. Right? Let's go to first real quick. 1 Thessalonians, the 4th chapter. Right? Let's go to 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. This is 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 and verse 11. And that ye study to be quiet. So you don't study for debate. You don't study to show off. You study to be quiet, to build yourself up, to build up your nation, and to do your own business and to work with your own hands as we commanded you, that ye may walk honestly toward them that are without. You mean people not in this truth. That's what that means. You want to be a light, and that ye may have lack of nothing. So to study is for the people, the sheep's benefit, and that you don't lack anything, right? So Most High willing, this was edifying. I'm gonna close up, giving our honor and glory to Yahweh. Most High willing, this helps. We're going to be doing the Sabbath service, about to head to the school and do the Sabbath service on the Watchman for Israel main channel in about 90 minutes or so. So tune in to the Sabbath service. Again, giving our honor and glory to Yahweh. Most High willing, you were edified. Kwam Yashala. Shalom.